All right. Welcome to Module 4 of the Cisco Networking Academy course Introduction to Cybersecurity. So, Module 4 will be treating protecting the organization. And in this module, we are going to be looking at the cybersecurity devices and technologies. We're also going to look at the behavioral approach to cybersecurity, where we'll be looking at detecting, explaining how to detect cyber threats through behavior-based security approaches. And also, we'll be looking at Cisco's approach to cybersecurity. We'll explain Cisco's approach, including the CSIRT team and security playbook. Let's dive right into business. Cybersecurity devices and technologies. Security appliances. These can be standalone devices like routers or software tools that run on a network device. So they fall into six general categories. These appliances could be routers. While a router's primary use is to interconnect various network segments, they usually provide basic traffic filtering capabilities. And this information can help you define which computer from a given network segment can communicate with which network segment. Also, we have firewalls. Firewalls look deeper into the network traffic to block malicious behavior. Firewalls can have sophisticated security policies applied to the traffic passing through them. Then we have IPS, which is Intrusion Prevention System. So these IPS are used to set a traffic signature that match and block malicious traffic and attacks. We also have the VPN, Virtual Private Network. So VPN systems allow remote employees to use a secure encrypted tunnel from their mobile computer or phones and secure connect to the organization's network. So VPN systems can also securely interconnect branch offices or with the central office network. We also have the anti-malware or antivirus. So these systems use signatures or behavioral analysis of applications to identify and block malicious code from being executed. Then there are other security devices. This could be maybe an email security appliances, decryption service devices, client access control servers, and security management systems. There's also intrusion prevention systems. There's intrusion detection systems. Now let's look at firewalls. So in computer network, a firewall is designed to control or filter which the communications or which communication is allowed to go in or out of a device or a network. So you can install a firewall on a single computer to protect that one computer, and that's called the host-based firewall, right? Um, it can also be a standalone network device that covers an entire network of computers and all of the host devices on that network. That in that case, you call it a network-based firewall. So as computer and network attacks have become more sophisticated, new types of firewalls will develop, right? Which will serve for as different purposes. All right. Then we have network layer firewall. So network layer firewall filters communication based on source and destination IP addresses. Then transport layer firewall filters communication based on source and destination data ports and connection states. There's also application layer firewall. So this one filters communication based on an application, program, or service. There's context aware layer firewall. So this one filters communication based on the user, device, role, application type, and threat profile. There's also proxy server. So proxy server filters web content requests like URLs, domain names, and media types. There's reverse proxy server. So reverse proxy servers are always placed in front of web servers. So reverse proxy servers um, filters or they protect, they hide, offload, and distribute access to web servers. Then there's something called the network address translation firewall. So this NAT firewall hides or masquerades the private address of network hosts. Then there's host-based firewall, which I explained previously. filters port and system service calls on a single computer operating systems. Just like you can find on your Windows device, you can find Windows Firewall on your Windows devices. Port scanning. In a network, each application running on a device is assigned an identifier called a port number. So this port number is used on both ends of the transmission to pass the correct data to the correct application. Remember, before you can connect a cable to a computer, you connect it through the port. So that's the same way. Before you can send a message to a computer over a network, that message has to go through a port to that particular host device. So the port number is used on both ends, right? Like I said previously, port scanning probes a computer, server, or another network host for open ports. It can be used maliciously as a reconnaissance tool to identify the operating system and servers running on a computer or host. Or it can be used harmlessly by a network administrator to verify network security policies. If you open the first, you're going to see a lab or a website where you can download and launch a port scanner tool, which is called ZenMap. So when you open the port scanner tool, you can just enter into your IP address and scan. And once you choose the default scanning profile and press scan, it's going to run a scan on your PC and give a report based on ports that are available in your PC, whether they are open or closed. So you're going to see the different port numbers and you're going to see their current state, whether they are open or closed. So the scan will also report one of the following responses: open or accepted. So when it can either be open or accepted, which means that other network devices can access that port or service running on the computer. Closed, denied, or not listening means that the port or service is not running on the computer and therefore cannot be exploited. You can also see filtered, dropped, or blocked, which means that a firewall blocks access to the port or service and cannot be exploited. To execute port scan from outside your network, you must run it against your firewall or router's public IP address. So when you open the ZenMap, this is exactly how it looks like. All right. So you enter the query, what is my IP address? You can also do another method, right, by searching on Google, what is my IP address? And you're going to see a website that can help you scan with Nmap. So it's an Nmap online scanner. So once you go to the Nmap online port scanner, you enter your IP address there or your public IP address. Once you get your public IP address, just open up your command prompt and type ipconfig space slash all /all. It's going to bring out every of your internet information or your network information, and you can copy your public IP address depending on what you're using to access the network, whether it's your Wi-Fi or your network interface card. So if the response is open for port 21, 22, 25, 80, 433, 443, or 3389, then most likely port forwarding has been enabled on your router or firewall and you are running servers on your private network. Now, intrusion detection and prevention system. IDS is intrusion detection system. IPS is intrusion prevention system. So these are security measures deployed on a network to detect and prevent malicious activities. An intrusion detection system can be a dedicated network device or one of several tools in a server, firewall, or even a host computer operating system, such as Windows or Linux, that scan data against a database of rules or attack signatures looking for malicious traffic. If it matches if a match is detected, the intrusion detection system will log the detection and create an alert for a network administrator. So the administrator is always going to be monitoring for alerts coming from the IDS system or the IDS device. It will not it will not take action and therefore it will not prevent attacks from happening. The job of intrusion detection system is to detect, log, and report. And it reports with alerts also. It can also alert you. This alert can come via mails, right? Or based on your own personal configuration. So the scanning performed by the intrusion detection system slows down the network, known as latency. So when your network is slow, all right, the speed or the um, rate at which network data is transmitted over your network is called latency. So placing an intrusion detection system offline, separate from regular network traffic, prevents network delay. Data is copied or mirrored by a switch and then forwarded to the intrusion detection system for offline detection. An intrusion prevention system can block or deny traffic based on a positive rule or signature match. One of the most well-known intrusion prevention system or intrusion detection system is SNOT. So the commercial version of SNOT is Cisco's Sourcefire. Sourcefire can perform real-time traffic and port analysis, logging, content searching, and matching, detect probes and attacks, and execute port scans. It also integrates with third-party reporting, performance, and log analysis tools. See how sophisticated Cisco's Sourcefire is. Now, real-time detection. Many organizations today cannot detect attacks until days or even months after they have occurred. Detecting attack in real time requires actively scanning for attacks using firewalls and prevention system and intrusion detection system network devices. It will help if you also use next generation client and server malware detection and connection to online global threat centers. Today, active scanning devices and software must detect network anomalies using context-based analysis and behavior detection. Distributed denial of service or DDoS is one of the most potent attacks requiring real-time detection and response. For many organizations, DDoS attacks regularly cripple internet servers and network availability. These attacks are extremely difficult to defend against because the attack originates from hundreds or even thousands of zombie hosts, and the attacks appear as legitimate traffic. And when this DDoS attack occurs, it can shut down your server, it can cause an application error, uh, it can shut down a service also. That's why it's called denial of service. Protecting against malware. One of the ways by which you can defend against a zero-day attack, an advanced persistent threat, is to use an enterprise level advanced malware detection solution like the Cisco Advanced Malware Protection AMP Threat Grid. So this client server software can deploy on host endpoints as a standalone server or on other network security devices. So it analyzes millions of files and correlates them against hundreds of millions of other interpreted malware artifacts or behaviors that the reveal an APT. So this approach provides a global view of malware attacks, campaigns, and distribution. So the Security Operations Center team, all right, this is the SOC team. So remember, one of the roles of a cybersecurity is the SOC analyst, Security Operations Center analyst. So the threat grid allows the um, SOC team to gather more accurate, actionable data. Then there's also the incident response team. So the incident response team has access to forensically helpful information from which it can more quickly analyze and understand suspicious behaviors. Then the threat intelligence team use this analysis gotten from the incident response team, and they can proactively improve the organization's security infrastructure. Then there's security infrastructure engineering team. So overall, the security infrastructure engineering team can consume and act on threat information faster, often in an automated way. Security best practices. Many national and professional organizations have published lists of security best practices. They can find some of the most helpful guidelines in organization repositories, such as the NIST, National Institute of Standards and Technology, Computer Security Resource Center. So, some of these security best practices are one, which is perform risk assessment. So, knowing and understanding the value of what you are protecting will help to justify security expenditures. Create a security policy, clearly outline the organization's rules, job roles, responsibility, and employee expectations. Physical security measure, restrict access to networking closets and server locations, and fire suppression. All right, so not everybody should have access to every room in your organization. If you go to banks, that's why you can't have access to every door. That's why staffs possess their personal key cards. These key cards have been configured such that they are limited um, within the organization's building. So there are doors they cannot pass through except they have elevated access. There's also human resource security measure. Now, completion of background checks should be done for every single employee before a candidate or a staff is absorbed, or before an individual is absorbed to become a staff. All right, a background check, a complete background check should be done on that individual to ensure he was never a threat to anybody in the past or any organization in the past. Another best practice is perform and test backups. So backup information regularly and test data recovery from backups. So ensure you do data recovery practices, which is very, very important. You can carry out a test run of your data recovery procedure at intervals, quarterly or biannually. Another thing you should keep in mind is maintain security patches and updates. So regularly update servers, clients, and network devices, operating system, and programs. Employee access control. So configure user roles and privileges or privilege levels and strong user authentication. Mandate change of passwords for staffs. Mandate change of passwords. This can also be automated anyway. Regularly test incident response. Employee Employ an incident response team and test emergency response scenarios. You can also run tests on every single employee, send a phishing mail, a customized phishing mail, and check who the weakest link is. These are strategies that companies carry out um, to strengthen their security systems and even their awareness of their employees. Implement a network monitoring and analytics and management tool. So choose a security monitoring tool that integrates with other technologies within your company, or that's something that best fits into your company's demand. Implement network security devices. So use the following generation routers, firewalls, and other security appliances. Next, implement a comprehensive endpoint security solution. Use enterprise level anti-malware and software. Don't use free softwares for company applications, for company servers, for company PCs. Use enterprise level anti-malware and antivirus softwares. Next, educate users, educate your employees, provide training for your employees in security procedures. One of the most widely known and respected organizations for cybersecurity training in the SANS Institute to carry these trainings out. So you can check SANS Institute on Google and read about them. Another best practices is encrypt data. Ensure that all sensitive organization now data, including mail, are encrypted. Ensure that every sensitive data, in fact all data that is being transmitted from PC to PC within your network is encrypted. So that even if an attacker enters, whenever he gets data, the encrypted data, he would not be able to easily access whatever information that is in that data because the data is encrypted. Behavioral approach to cybersecurity. Behavior-based security is a form of threat detection and that captures and analyzes the flow of communication between a user on local network and a local or remote destination. Any changes in normal behavior patterns are regarded as anomalies and may indicate an attack. So one way to carry this behavior-based security out is by using honeypot. So honeypot is a behavior-based detection tool that lures attackers in by appealing to their predicted pattern of malicious behavior. Once the attacker is inside the honeypot, the network administrator can capture, log, and analyze their behavior so that they can build a better defense system. Remember, before you can protect, you need to understand what you're protecting, and you also need to understand the psychology of the attackers. So there's something called psychology of attack. All right. So that's something to understand when defending a company's network. Another one is Cisco Cyber Threat Defense Solution Architecture. So this security architecture uses behavior-based detection and indicators to provide greater visibility, context, and control. So the aim is to know who is carrying out the attack, what attack they are performing, and where, when, and how the attack is taking place. So this security architecture uses many security technologies to achieve this goal. NetFlow. Use of NetFlow technology is to gather information about data flowing through a network, including who and what devices are in the network, and when and how users and devices access the network. NetFlow is an essential component in behavior-based detection and analysis. Switches, routers, and firewalls equipped with NetFlow can report information about data entering, leaving, and traveling through the network. This information is sent to NetFlow collectors that collect, store, and analyze NetFlow data to establish baseline behavior on more than 90 attributes, such as source and destination IP address. Penetration testing. Wow, this is one of the best when it comes to attacking the red team. All right, penetration testing, commonly known as pen testing, assesses a computer network or organization for security vulnerability. So a pen test seeks to breach systems, people, processes, and code that could exploit vulnerabilities. This information improves the system defense to ensure it is better able to withstand cyber attacks in the future. And to carry out a pen testing, there are steps to put in place. The first one is planning. A pen tester gathers as much information as possible about a target system or network. So your pen tester is actually an attacker, but an ethical hacker. All right. So he's not an unethical hacker. He's an attacker, but he's ethical because he's carrying out these processes and this attack based on instruction from his organization or based on approval from the organization, just so that the organization can now better see how to um, harden their system. So the first step is planning. The pen tester gathers as much information about as possible to target a system or network, a potential vulnerabilities and exploits to use against it. So this involves conducting passive or active surveillance, footprinting, and vulnerability research. The next step is scanning. So the pen tester carries out an active reconnaissance to probe a target or network and identify potential weaknesses, which, if exploited, could give an attacker access to the network. So active surveillance may include port scanning, right, vulnerability scanning to identify potentially exploitable vulnerabilities on a particular target, establishes an active connection to a target to identify the user system and admin accounts. The next step is gaining access. So once um, scanning has been gone and you have seen a vulnerability, you gain access to that vulnerability. So a pen tester will attempt to gain access to a target system and sniff network traffic using various methods to exploit the system, including launching an exploit with a payload into the system. The payload is an application that is sent by a a hacker to a network, all right, or a system or an endpoint. So breaching physical barriers or assets, social engineering, exploiting website vulnerabilities, exploiting software and hardware vulnerabilities or misconfiguration, breaching access control security, cracking weak encrypted Wi-Fi. Then after that is done, the next step is maintaining access. So after a penetration tester have accessed the system, he maintains his access on the system or on the network so that he can find out what data and systems are vulnerable to exploitation. So they must remain undetected, typically using backdoors, Trojan horses, rootkits, and other covert channels to hide their presence. So when this infrastructure is in place, the pen tester will then gather the data they consider valuable. Then lastly, after, remember I said he's a ethical hacker, right? Lastly, after he has done all this, he now carries out an analysis and reporting. So a pen tester will provide feedback via reporting recommending product updates. When this report is being collated, all right, so there are solutions that are being preferred, all right. So these solutions could be updates, product updates, updates in policies, or training of employees to improve an organization's security. Impact reduction. So while most organizations today are aware of common security threats and put considerable efforts into preventing them, no security practice are foolproof. Therefore, organizations must prepare to contain the damage if a security breach occurs, and they must act fast. So, what can be done to reduce impact of a security breach? The first one, communicates the issue. Communication creates transparency, which is critical in this situation. No matter the consequences, even if you are the one that have been breached, it's important to communicate immediately in order to remove yourself from the um, loop of attack. So it doesn't look as though you are doing it intentionally or you are the insider. So communicate the issue immediately. If you notice anything suspicious, communicate immediately. Inform all employees, and communicating a clear call to action should occur internally. Inform all clients through direct communication, and official announcements should occur externally. Be sincere and accountable. Respond to the breach honestly and genuinely, taking responsibility where the organization is at fault. Provide the details. Be open and explain why the breach occurred and what information was compromised. Organizations generally take care of any client cost associated with identity theft services required as a result of security breaches. Find the cause. Take steps to understand what caused and facilitated the breach. So this may involve hiring forensic experts to research and find out the details. The next thing is apply lessons learned. Make sure that any lesson learned from a forensic investigators are applied to prevent similar breaches from happening the second time or happening over and over again. Check and check again. Attackers often attempt to leave a backdoor to facilitate future breaches. So to prevent this, you must ensure that all systems are clean, no uninstalled backdoors, and compromise nothing else. The last thing, educate, raise awareness, and train and educate employees, partners, and clients on preventing future breaches. What is risk management? Risk management is the formal process of continuously identifying and assessing risk to reduce the impact of threats and vulnerabilities. So you cannot eliminate risk, but you can determine acceptable levels by weighing up the impact of a threat with the cost of implementing controls to mitigate it. The cost of power should always be, at most, the value of the asset you are protecting. Frame the risk. Identify the threats that increase risk. Threats may include processes, products, attacks, potential failure or disruption of service, negative perception of an organization's reputation, negative perception of an organization's reputation, potential legal liability or loss of intellectual property. Next one, assess the risk. Determine the severity that each threat poses. For example, some threats may bring an entire organization to a standstill, while others may only be minor inconveniences. You can prioritize risks by assessing financial impacts as quantitative analysis or scaled effects on an organization's operation. Respond to the risk. Develop an action plan to reduce overall organization's risk exposure. Detail detailing where risk can be eliminated, mitigated, transferred, or accepted. All right. So risk acceptance is when you accept a risk such that you allow it um it's not, it does not have so much negative effect on the organization. So that risk, once a risk is seen not to have so much effects, negative effect on of the organizations, you can accept the risk and now plan towards remediating that risk. All right. So it does not mean that because of that little risk, you now begin to send communications, make announcements, cause alerts, create emergency situations to cause employees to panic. Lastly, monitor the risk. Continuously review any risk reduced through elimination, mitigation, or transfer actions. Remember, you cannot eliminate all risk, so you must monitor any threat closely. Cisco's approach to cybersecurity. The Cisco CSIRT. So many large organizations have a computer security incident response team to receive, review, and respond to computer security incident reports. Cisco CSIRT goes a step further and provides proactive assessment, mitigation planning, incident trend analysis, and security architecture review to prevent security incidents from happening. Cisco CSIRT takes a proactive approach, collaborating with the Forum of Incident Response and Security Teams, which is FIRST first. They also collaborate with the National Safety Information Exchange, NSIE, the Defense Security Information Exchange, DSIE, and the DNS Operations Analysis and Research Center, which is DNSOARC. This ensures we stay up to date with new developments. Several national and public CSIRT organizations like the CERT division of the Software Engineering Institute at Carnegie Mellon University are available to help organizations and national CSIRTs develop, operate, and improve their incident management capabilities. Security playbook. So one of the best ways is to prepare a security of for a security breach is to prevent it. So organizations should guide on the following: how to identify the cybersecurity risks to in systems, assets, data, and capabilities. The implementation of safeguards and personnel training, a flexible response plan that minimizes the impact and damage in the event of a security breach. Placing security measures and processes must happen in the aftermath of a security breach. All this information should compile into a security playbook. But what is a security playbook in itself? It's actually a collection of repeatable queries or reports outlining a standardized incident detection and response process. Ideally, a security playbook should highlight how to identify and automate the response to common threats such as the detection of malware-infected machines, suspicious network activity, or irregular authentication attempts. Security playbook should also describe and clearly define inbound and outbound traffic. They should also provide summary information, including trends, statistics, and counts. They also provide usable and quick access to key statistics and metrics, and they also correlate events across all relevant data sources. Tools for incident detection and prevention. One of them is the security information and event management. So the SIAM system collects and analyzes security alerts, logs, and other real-time and historical data from security devices on the network to facilitate early detection of cyber attacks. There's also DLP, which is data loss prevention system. So the design of a data loss prevention system is to stop sensitive data from being stolen from or escaping a network. So this DLP monitors and protects data in three different states when data is being used by the accessed by the user. That is data in use, all right. When data is being traveling through the network, which is data in motion or data in transit, or when data is being stored on a computer network or a device, which is data at rest. So data has three states, all right. When data is being processed or used, when data is being transferred or in transit or in motion, or when data is at rest, which is when data is stored on a device. Lastly, the Cisco ISA and TrustSec. The Cisco Identity Service Engine and TrustSec enforce user access to network resources by creating role-based access control policies, right? So it uses the principle of least privilege access. on a network, just so that not everybody has the same level of access. Normal employees, as for example, new employees will have very limited access to the organization's resources until they have stayed for a particular period of time.